Hello guys, how are you doing today? This is King Leo Productions, and today I will be showing you guys my recent eBay purchases. And for those of you who responded to my narrow gauge engine video, this is going to be kind of like an answer to you guys' prayers. Because I'm so sorry. Anyway, because these are a lot of characters that you guys wanted me to add when you guys found that I got the narrow. When you guys had found out I was getting the narrow gauge engines, and this is why. Just think of this as maybe me answering your feedback. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So first thing else I want to say is that thank you guys for supporting NWR stories on the channel, because I really want to bring this series back, because I know that I missed working on the series a lot. And when I say I missed working on it, like I really missed working on my series, because it was NWR stories was very special to me when I first concepted I don't say many years ago, but I think my first NWR stories run was back in 2018. That's when the first NWR stories came out, and that was during that was back in 2018. I was like 16. I was like 16 years old, and I was like, you know what? Let's just bring. Actually, no, scratch that. I had a series way before, all the way in 2020. No, not 2020. I had a series back in 2016, and that was the NWR. That was like NWR stories, but I forgot what my series was called. But that series has long since been dead. So now it's just now we're just NWR stories. How it still went from being Trackmaster to now I did Wooden Railway, which has been really successful, and I like the concept of switching the wood, because I don't know, I just feel like it's easier to make videos with wooden railways. You can build layouts in smaller spaces, but also make them so complex. But anyway, enough yapping. So my first eBay purchase that I will be showing off is Fearless Freddie. Now, I answered you guys' prayers, because ever since I did this narrow gauge showcase, you guys were like, you're missing engines like Fearless Freddie, Bertram, Luke, Millie, Mighty Matt. To answer your question is, I'm still on the fence about getting those other characters, like for example, Mighty Mac. I was never really a big fan of the character, but honestly, I can always just try to make the character work in my series, because I'm all about making things work. And I could also I can also make the character work in my canon, or do my best to make the whole idea of the two work. And secondly, as far as like Millie and Luke, their wooden railway models are really hard to come by, so I don't know if I'll be able to get them. Probably, maybe if my seller ends up finding them, then I will get them. But anyway, back to the video. So I finally buckled down and bought Fearless Freddie from my seller. I think it's called Traintown KT. And let's take a look at the character. So I don't really know much about this character, so bear with me if I get a lot of things wrong. So basically, I think this was a 10th series character. He was introduced in, his episode, Fearless Freddie. He's apparently a friend of Sir Handel, which kind of adds a lot of lore. Basically, because, if he's an old friend of Sir Handel, that means that he worked on the Mid-Sodor Railway with, Duke, Peter Sam, Sir Handel, Smudger, all of them. And basically, what's kind of funny about that is because the engine that Freddie is based off of works on the Festiniog Railway, which is where the basis of Duke works as well. So maybe that can be added to it. It's one of those non-Audrey characters that's based off of real engines, which is really good. Let's see, what else? Basically, there's really nothing. Well, there's really a lot I can say about this model. It's very accurate to how he appears in the series. Now, I've seen people use this model to make a Stanley from the Railway series books. Now, I might do that one day. I might either I might make a Stanley, or I might try to little headcanon with this guy or something. I say that a little headcanon, but we will see. I got plans for this character. I'm not going to reveal those plans because they're going to be kind of spoilish, but I can honestly say that I am glad to have this model, and I know I was on the fence about adding non-Audrey narrow gauge engines, because I usually want to keep my series closely related to Audrey, but also letting characters like Hero, Emily, Nia, Rebecca, Arthur, adding them into my series. And I realized that I don't have to stick it strictly to Audrey characters because, it's not right to just exclude some good characters from the TV show. But like I said, he's pretty good. He's a pretty good character. Now, it's a shame that he was never brought back in CGI, because when all the narrow gauge engines came back, frankly, I wish that, they would have redid Blue Mountain Mystery in a way where it can include Fearless Freddie instead of a movie about Luke. Because honestly, there could have been a lot more ways they could talk. They could have been redone about the Blue Mountain Mystery. Now, that's probably gonna be another video when I talk about that. But this was me talking about Fearless Freddie, and on to the next eBay purchase. Now, the next one is another character that was highly, and when I say, I put emphasis on highly with a huge emphasis. This guy has been recommended for the longest for me to add to the narrow gauge layout. What a narrow gauge characters list. And who am I talking about? Bertram, the Old Warrior. Now, I'm just gonna say this, and this might get a hot this is my hot take, and I might get executed in the comments for this, but I like Bertram as a tank engine more than an engine like Duke. And I'm gonna say this because it adds a lot of individuality to Bertram. We get to know, we know that he's just not because in the series he was a recolor of Duke and Smudger, and it was basically, he was a recolor of Duke with Smudger's face because of budget constraints, which is understandable. I know a lot of people also love Bertram as a Duke recolor. And to honestly, if I'm covering up what I said, I don't mind him being both, actually. I do like the tank engine idea more because it's unique, but that's how I saw Bertram as a kid. That's how I first saw Bertram. Now, my only gripe with Bertram is that we really did not see any more of him. I wouldn't have minded if we saw him again in the CGI series, because, a lot of things could have been done with Bertram. Like, he could have been another Mid-Sodor engine that everybody really forgot about, or he could have been, or if my favorite headcanon in the whole Thomas media, it's more of a theory than a headcanon, but I would like the idea that he is actually Smudger but rebuilt and given a different name. Now, I know a lot of people have done this famously with Thomas 1, Edward 2, and Henry 3. He came up with the idea that, Smudger is Bertram. Honestly, he made Bertram a whole lot of characters. He made Bertram Smudger. He made Smudger the tank engine that fell off the bridge in that Duncan Gets Spooked episode. And basically, he did. Everybody's been doing a lot of, because like I said in a lot of my other videos, Bertram is one of those characters that you can practically do whatever you want with him, because he is wasted potential. Like, he could have been used in so many different ways, and I say so many. And when I say so many, I mean like they could have used this guy in way more than they could have. But I know that sometimes they have plans they're not able to, I know they have plans they're not able to kind of bring into fruition. With any TV series, you're gonna have your plans off the rails, and not a lot of things would reach their full potential. But the best thing we can do is just try to accept it and move on. But let's also talk about what Bertram comes with. Now, I think Bertram came with a 3-pack that basically had him. It basically had him and 2 scrap cars. Now, I don't know if I'm going to keep this on my narrow gauge layout, but honestly, until I get more rolling stock for the narrow gauge engines, they're going to share a lot of the rolling stock with the standard gauge layout, because why the heck not? And honestly, this reminds me of that gray troublesome truck and the that everybody has in their narrow gauge layout. On their Thomas Quinn Railway layout. I'm the one person that does not have. I think I'm like one of the vast majority that do not have it. But I think a good friend of mine called Sudrian Customs on Instagram, he has maybe a couple. I don't know. He's like this is where I get like a lot. This is where I got like a lot of my wooden railway questions from, because I was like, I need to get a lot of wooden railway stuff. I need to get a lot of. He made me want to get a lot of wooden railway stuff. He also helped me out when choosing the best wooden railway stuff. Now, what I'm getting ready to say now is that, I am really just trying to get more videos out to you guys, because I have a lot of free time now. I'm out of school for the summer, and I want to try to get more videos out. Now, I just finished an episode of NWR Stories, and I'm going to working on some more episodes. I have one centered around Winston. I have my next little railway series story with my OC character. Actually, I'm bringing in 2 OCs, and I'm also having a custom video that I got to show off, because I have some really great customs I've done recently, and I want to know what you guys think of them. And without further ado, that's about it. This was King Leo Productions, and I want you guys to always remember, have a good life, be happy, do what makes you happy, and also remember to love yourself, be your best friend, love yourself to the fullest, and always remember that, happiness is what you make it. Peace, and I love you all.